Good day, Suidlanders, and welcome to Suidlanders, the week in review for Friday, the 30th of August, 2024. And I'm coming to you, as I shall, God willing, be coming to you for a long time yet, from the base of the Bamboo Mountains of the Eastern Cape, just outside Hofmeyer. I'm looking onto the Bamboo Mountains as we speak. Almost at the top of the mountains, just beneath the absolute crest, there are millions upon millions of Chinese bamboos, and nobody knows how they got there, and that's how they got their name. Millions upon millions upon millions of them, running in a line, long line of many miles, just beneath the crest. Let's begin with last Friday, the 23rd of August, cover a couple of things that we may have missed last week, especially caused by time zone differences. When I produce this video, people haven't even woken up in the USA yet. The US Treasury Department imposed yet another set of sanctions pertaining to the Ukraine war, but interestingly, this time they included Chinese firms that are assisting Russia to circumvent Western sanctions. So it's getting rough. They're sanctioning anybody and everybody now, and they're not just cheesing off the Russians, they're cheesing off many other people and nations too. And that might bode poorly for events yet to come, especially pertaining to Taiwan. Last Friday, South Africa blocked the transfer of 50,000 artillery shells manufactured by Naval in South Africa to Poland so that they would not be passed on to Ukraine. In other words, an order was put in by Poland, presumably for Ukraine, to Rheinmetall in Germany. The Germans passed that order on to their subsidiary here, and the order was produced but not in time, not delivered. And presumably this was at Russia's behest. So South Africa is perhaps endeavoring to make up for last year's shocking scandal when, at the end of August, beginning of December, BRICS summit in Johannesburg, summit meeting meaning the meeting of the most senior, the apex players, when they, at Victoria Nuland, Deputy Secretary of State in the USA, that means Deputy Foreign Minister, at her instruction, after when she visited South Africa, they prevented Vladimir Putin from attending his own BRICS summit. Terrible, terrible event in diplomatic terms. Saturday, the 24th of August, the owner and founder of the Telegram app, Pavel Durov, was arrested at Le Bourget airport in Paris. He was flying on a private plane. Initially, the suspicion or the allegation was the plane had to stop to refuel, and then he was arrested. It's now turning out, there are various sources saying, that the inside story is that he was entrapped by Emmanuel Macron, the president of France, that he invited him for lunch. Apparently that was the appointment. It was a lunch appointment. And when he stepped off the plane, expecting to go to the Élysée Palace, the palace of the presidents of France, he was arrested. So he was entrapped. The reason that the French are giving is that Telegram is not being responsibly moderated, that there's too much free speech, and that is being abused by child abusers and other criminals. Sunday, the 25th of August, massive Israeli airstrikes involving over 100 aircraft took place. The airstrikes were directed at southern Lebanon, at Hezbollah in southern Lebanon, and the Israeli authorities announced during the airstrikes that the whole of Israel, all of the citizens, should take extra care for the next 48 hours because they anticipate a massive response from the Hezbollah. In fact, one did not come, and therefore everybody is on tenterhooks, expecting it to come unexpectedly at any moment. On Monday, the 26th of August, what Ukrainian officials called the largest Russian attack since Thursday, the 24th of February, 2022, when the invasion of Ukraine began, took place when Russia launched wave upon wave of cruise missiles, even some short-range intercontinental ballistic missiles, not nuclear warheaded, rocket attacks, artillery attacks, drone attacks, and bombing attacks by airplanes. At one point in time, Russia was using its super heaviest bomber, the 295 Bear. Its next, the White Swans, the two 160Ms, the 222Ms, two being Tupolev. Russia's bombers are usually, historically, have been designed and built by the Tupolev Design Bureau, and many MiG-31 aircraft. The largest Russian attack since the beginning of these events 2.5 years ago. During that operation, in the first F-16 jet fighter flight in anger by Ukraine, in other words, some countries have given Ukraine about 10 F-16s, and there are supposed to be many more coming. Ukraine sent 50 pilots for training, of which 3 passed the training. 3 of 50 passed the training. And there were another 3. I've not read where they come from, how they come out of the woodwork, but 3 passed the recent training, and there were another 3, making a grand total of 6 Ukrainian pilots trained to fly these 10 F-16s. In the first flight since all of the training, the first flight happened during the Russian attack. Airplane was sent up to shoot down drones and cruise missiles and so on. That very first F-16 was shot down, possibly by a Ukrainian Patriot missile battery, killing that pilot. I personally find it to be a heartbreaking story. President Macron versus the new Popular Front. The French, this is Tuesday the 27th of August, the French electoral system is quite complicated. You can have a government that is, let's say, green, and the president is purple, and they might hate one another and not cooperate with one another at all. The president has certain powers, so it's a very prestigious and powerful position, but he doesn't have all of the power. The rest of the government, the prime minister and the ministers, are elected in a different process. So recently, elections were held. They were won by the new Popular Front, which is a new party in France. They formed a coalition to govern, and Emmanuel Macron is flagrantly in breach of the law, preventing them from taking power. Very interesting times, ladies and gentlemen. On Wednesday, the 28th of August, a possible explanation for NATO's strange attack upon 2 of Russia's 6 Voronezh M intercontinental ballistic missile early warning radars has emerged. Russians are saying that they have now figured out what that was all about. Russia has 6 supergiant radars, the Voronezh Ms. They are the early warning radars for incoming intercontinental ballistic missiles. These radars are so huge that they can see 6,800 kilometers away. And they see in an arc like that. And it's so broad that just the 6 of them perfectly overlap one another, covering all of Russia's 11 time zones, all of the squiggly border, as far as they need to do, and much further. 2 of them were attacked by NATO recently. We know that it was NATO because we know that Ukraine doesn't possess drones that can fly that far, blah, 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 blah. It had to have been NATO's guidance system and satellite systems and training and the drones themselves, everything. 100% NATO operation. Thus blinding Russia's ability to detect incoming ballistic missiles. A huge thing at the time. It emerged 2 days ago that the Russians believe that the 1/3 of the US naval fleet, as people are saying, that is stationed around Israel in the Eastern Mediterranean, in the Red Sea, and in the ocean beneath Iran, so generally in the northwest Indian Ocean and in the Eastern Mediterranean, is in fact there because it is directly beneath those two radars' field of vision, and that they believe that that massive number of vessels is intended for the launching of 200 planes to launch missiles at Russia in a surprise attack at some point in the near future. It was a very interesting thing to come out on Wednesday. Thursday, the 29th of August. For some weeks now, this goes back some weeks, earthquakes in Italy have been occurring, and they're becoming more and more and more severe. Yesterday, Thursday, experts began to warn very vocally. They began to stomp their feet and scream and shout and demand the attention of the world, because they believe that these earthquakes are now about to become far more severe, and they will set off certain volcanoes such as Pompeii and Vesuvius. I'm no expert. Let's see, time will tell. Also, last night, Kamala Harris was interviewed by CNN with her running mate, Tim Walz, for he would become vice president if she was to win the presidency. And it was, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't seen the interview, please do yourselves a favor and look it up on YouTube. It's really worth the laugh. The woman is certifiably very, very, very stupid, and it makes for great entertainment. Last but not least, Friday the 30th of August, Iran is preparing a severe response to several recent Israeli assassinations. As you may or may not know, over recent months, Israel assassinated some diplomats in an embassy building in Damascus in Syria, Iranian diplomats. Then it assassinated a senior leader of Hezbollah in Lebanon, which is an entity that is sponsored by Iran, very close links. And it assassinated Fuad Shukr, who was the Hamas. Hamas is in Gaza, Hezbollah is up in the north in Lebanon, and in between them is the West Bank, so the different Palestinian, or let's say anti-Israeli entities that we talk about from time to time. They assassinated the senior Hamas leader from Gaza, who was in fact the lead negotiator with the Israelis in endeavoring to find a solution to the crisis in Gaza, while he was in Iran as a guest of the Iranian government, having attended a few hours before the inauguration of the new Iranian president. So a gross offense to all of the rules of hospitality and diplomacy. And as I say, today, Friday, it's emerging that Iran is waiting for the right moment, but that they have made enormous preparations for something, nobody knows what. So put on your crash helmets, tighten your seat belts, and brace yourselves for high drama in the months and weeks indeed to come. Thank you very much for watching this Suidlanders, the Week in Review. We wish you a blessed weekend and much, much blessing upon you and your loved ones for the times that are to come. Goodbye and God bless all of you.